Right.
What I'd like to say, actually, is that I kind of mostly agree with what you're saying.
No, that's just taking a pot shot there.
No,
by saying,
it is absolutely taking a pot shot. But I do agree with what you're saying. And as a gay man, I know that growing up, I witnessed gay people being villains in movies when I was...
Seven dwarves aren't villains.
And that I think stereotypes are really important to
What stereotype do you think
and
they represent?
This isn't a part of this about the stereotype. This is about roles that were made for people such of my stature that don't have the chance to go out for other roles normally.
But you want to stop Dylan getting a role in a Hollywood film?
I am not going to...
How dare you?
Yeah, we are back with another reaction of delusional woke people. Today, in 2024, we have a lot of so-called woke people out here. They are really misguided. Don't believe me? Just sit back and react. Watch what I'm talking about. If you like reactions like this, consider hitting the like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel and also hit the notification bell. Sit back and react. Let's see how this is about to play out.
Let's use our quiet voices, please. Calm down. Stop acting like a child, and I will.
Got your ass.
Do you think women's sports should get paid more, get more recognition? What do you guys think?
For sure, like, we deserve equality, so definitely should.
On topic of women's sports, can you name any WNBA teams?
No.
Exactly.
The WNBA has been in existence for almost 25 years and not one single team has been able to turn a profit. In fact, the NBA has to subsidise them to get a tax write-off for the owners. In other words, without the NBA, nobody's going to get paid, and there isn't even a league. It doesn't even exist.
Hundreds of climate activists have shut down traffic for the day. We're out here talking to them, asking them, do they have jobs?
No, I strike today.
Oh, you're skipping work?
I just strike. It is a strike, so I strike.
Okay, is your boss okay with it? Did you get the day off work today to come out and do this?
Well, man, my situation with work was I helped through a rough management transition, and they gave me a chance to take an extended break.
Yo, you can't make this up. I think the majority of the people who's always marching and going to rallies, they either don't have a job because it's impossible you're there every day for the entire day. Like, come on, you gotta make it make sense. Where's the money coming from? Let me know. Because if that's the case, I need to rethink what I'm doing.
Break? Did you get the day off work to come out here and do this?
No, I did not. I'm skipping work.
Can I ask what you do?
I'm an artist.
This explains why a lot of these climate activists don't give a shit about disrupting normal working people's days, because they got nothing better to do.
Go home and get a job.
Are you aware of the debate happening in Washington State around the ability to access bathrooms, locker rooms, spas based on gender identity and gender expression?
I think people should be able to have access to the facility.
I think bathrooms could and potentially should be gender neutral because there doesn't need to be a classification for differences.
I think people definitely should have the ability to go into whichever locker room they want.
Whether you identify as male or female and whether your sex at birth is matching to that, you should be able to utilize the resources.
So if I told you that I was a woman, what would your response be?
Good for you. Okay, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
I don't have a problem with it.
If I told you that I was Chinese, what would your response be?
I would have a lot of questions, just because on the outside I would assume that you're a white man.
Yo, man, I'm telling you, people are selective. You understand me? What's really sad is that they are in college. Someone is spending money on their education for them to say this. You understand me? Like, you gotta make it make sense.
If I told you that I was 7 years old, what would your response be?
I wouldn't believe that immediately.
Yeah, all college students saying they want bathrooms to be gender neutral. Let's wait in 10 years when they've got kids and they see some weird ass man walking in the same changing room or bathroom as their little daughter.
Why are you flipping me off, bro?
Why are you taking my picture, bro?
Because there should be housing for you.
I don't want housing.
Then, so what do you want? Just to sit here then?
Yeah. It's my country, ain't it?
Yeah, but this isn't sanitary. We all live here.
It's not unsanitary.
What gives you more right than me?
It's unsanitary.
Look! What do you mean? You should want better for yourself.
I like it like this. I like the fresh air.
No, I got you, but we all have to... What if somebody's handicapped and they need to get by? They can't.
They got 36 inches.
Hey.
Somebody on a mobile bike Can't get through here.
Got 36
So
inches.
your freedom's more important than somebody else's.
36 fucking inches.
No, see, this is the problem. You think you're more important than somebody else.
I wanted to sit here and talk to the homeless guy and hold up traffic. Maybe somebody's got to go to the hospital.
You see that?
Hey.
You see how that guy just expects? He just thinks that he is more important than everybody else. This is the sense of entitlement.
Man, the homeless man made him look like a complete donut, and he still decided to post it and make himself look like an even bigger fool.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
I want to just state that for 5,000 years BC, Gala transcribed and androgynous trans priests of Sumerian goddesses have been around and noted. Since we are standing on Anishinaabe land, Turtle Island, which is the nation that we live under, has
I don't live under Turtle
people.
Island.
Right, well, maybe you should read a little more Indigenous knowledge books. Indigenous communities have used two-spirit personas for the entirety of their culture.
You're pointing to civilizations that committed human sacrifice, okay? That's not a good argument. Yes, that's true. There were all sorts of terrible tribes. In fact, as recently as a little over 500 years ago, the Aztecs here in the Western Hemisphere slaughtered 80,000 people in a sacrifice to one of the demons that they worshipped within the span of 4 days. That's not a recommendation of doing that. I don't think that we ought to consider it. How does one know that someone with the total physical appearance of a man, how can one know that that person really is a woman?
What is the purpose of knowing another person's sexual
There
identity
you are.
or
Why do you even care? What's the purpose of knowing someone's biological sex? Well, for starters, because we have civil rights specifically for women in the United States. We have special bathrooms for women. We have special sports leagues for women. We have all sorts of special places and rights and privileges and that are for women that are not for men. So if now some men, people who at the very least appear to be men, are claiming a right to go into those women's bathrooms, then we either have to abolish all of the special rights and privileges that have existed for women for all of human history and are enshrined in our law, or they need to explain to me how those men are actually women. And they can't do the latter, and I'm not willing to do the former, and I don't think women across this country are willing to do the former, even if a few people have been so ideologically blinded.
Someone said she humiliated herself before it even started by wearing...
Yeah, that hat looks hideous, yo. That hat looked like someone just knitted it just a few seconds ago.
In that hat. Well, by her logic, she probably needs to give up her house and any land that it's on, if she still believes that she's on Turtle Island or whatever she said.
I have a master's degree because when I got certified, I was told I had to have a master's degree to be an Arizona certified teacher. Are we allowing the parents to choose the curriculum and the books that our children
That's the whole point.
are going to read? Purpose of public education is not to teach only what parents want their children to be taught. It is to teach them what society needs them to be taught.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
There's more than 100 years of Supreme Court precedent telling us that we have the distinct privilege and responsibility of directing the health, education, and upbringing of our children. You don't have that responsibility. Regardless of what you think about the importance of public education, the power ultimately lies in the hands of the parents who not only pay for what you do in the classroom, but whose children you instruct during a finite period of the day. If we're going to talk about responsibility and ownership, maybe you should take a look at our nation's math and English scores.
I bet those are real bad right there. On another note, if you look at it this way, school, for some weird, odd reason, it's like imprisonment. You bring your kids there, they hold them hostage for 8 hours, and who knows what's being done. This is why you gotta speak with your children, you understand? Because you never know what they're telling them.
Listen, I get inclusivity and all of that, but this is going way too far. Why is it that instead of making a brand new character that an actor gets to play where they debut that character, instead they are taking old characters that are loved and cherished and putting a black person in that role, which only sparks controversy because people are mad because they remember the original character and they're not the original character. And it's also super lazy. You don't value the talent enough to create a brand new character where you want to make them the center of controversy. I don't understand how black people aren't seeing this and how they still applaud it. This is not on some, oh, I'm being racist, internalized racism thing. Tinkerbell has always been a blonde white woman.
Word. When I seen that, I'm like, sometimes you gotta ask yourself, what's the marketing scheme behind these things? Like, why change the actual ethnicity of the person? Keep it the same way how it is. That's the trademark. Like, what are you trying to appease to now? What are we doing nowadays? Have you ever questioned yourself? Have you ever questioned things, period? You gotta do that a lot, you understand? So you could bet this way you can see a clearer picture of what's going on.
If you really care about inclusivity, Disney, create a new character.
This is why so many of these new movies are flopping, because they're all diversity box checking recreations of old films. How hard is it to just make a new film and make new characters, and also just to leave the ones that worked in the past? No, it's getting ridiculous when they can't even cast dwarves in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Peter Dinklage spoke up about this, and that was my issue. He had in the past no issue cashing checks that were made for dwarf roles like Elf and all of that. That check cleared just fine.
If you made it to this part of the video, consider liking, commenting, sharing, and definitely subscribing to the channel.
When Piers Morgan is agreeing with you, I think you need to be concerned. I'll say that for the...
So you're telling a dwarf actor what he should feel? Having literally just lectured me about speaking for someone in the dwarf community, Warwick Davis, you now accuse a dwarf actor?
No, it's not what I said. I said that if you're siding with anyone, you've got to worry.
Right.
What I'd like to say, actually, is that I kind of mostly agree with what you're saying.
No, that's just taking a pot shot there.
No,
by saying,
it is
Piers
absolutely
Morgan
taking a
agrees
pot
with
shot.
me.
But I do agree with what you're saying. And as a gay man, I know that growing up, I witnessed gay people being villains in movies when I was...
Seven Dwarfs aren't villains.
And that I think stereotypes are really important to...
What stereotype do you think they represent?
This isn't a part of this about the stereotype. This is about roles that were made for people of my stature that don't have the chance to go out for other roles normally.
But you want to stop Dylan getting a role in a Hollywood film?
I am not going to get into an attack on a dwarf.
You don't want a dwarf actor to land the role playing a dwarf part?
Listen, a dwarf can play a dwarf part, but I think it's important to change narratives that don't fit in today's society. You're using Dylan as a cheap shot to attack a wokey.
I don't think Dylan feels I'm using him as a cheap shot. And what I would say about the wokey thing is this. I have spent the last year listening to people tell me only gay actors should play gay parts. Only Welsh actors, so Michael Sheen, should play Welsh characters, and so on and so on and so on. But the moment we have dwarf roles, which are the most famous dwarf roles in Hollywood history, then the only people apparently who can't play them are dwarf actors. And I see there
it's a cartoon here.
Woke hypocrisy.
It has not changed. It was a cartoon. Those weren't actually dwarfs in the movie. They were drawn, okay? So firstly...
They were drawn as dwarfs.
No, that is...
But it's a story about dwarfs.
Dwarfs. Well, they shouldn't be called that. They should be called...
They shouldn't be called dwarfs.
No, they should be called people with dwarfism.
They shouldn't be called...
What's wrong with being called dwarfs?
Nothing, but that's not the correct
term. That's the story.
Dylan, apparently you're not allowed to call yourself... Apparently, Dylan, you're not allowed to call yourself dwarfs, apparently.
I would love to hear, what should I call myself, sir?
I think you should call yourself whatever you feel comfortable with, but as a person...
He calls himself a dwarf.
That's very good for you. I'm happy.
So now, sir, let me pause that. So it shouldn't be called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It should just be called
I do not want to
Snow
get
White.
cancelled
So
because
are you
I
saying...
think your point of view is more important
you don't want to
than
get
mine right now.
cancelled. As this person says, imagine not being a dwarf but arguing with a dwarf what it feels like to act a dwarf role.
These people are insane. When I say these people, I mean the wokies. You gotta snap out of it. Being woke is a joke nowadays, alright? I call it just be on point, be aware, and just be smart about what you're doing. Learn how to think on your own. You understand? Stop going with public opinion all the time. All right? Public opinion can persuade you sometimes. So this way, think for your own. All right? Try to put it together on your own. Step back and look at things. Don't be so quick to judge, and don't be so quick to put your 2 cents. Just listen. You understand? We got 2 ears and 1 mouth, which means one does more than the other. All right. With that being said, if you made it this far, consider hitting that like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel and also hit the notification bell. See you in the next one.